1A. Page 5. Mood food. We live in a stressful world. A&D daily life can sometimes make us feel tired, stressed, or depressed. Some people go to the doctor for help, others try alternative therapies, but the place to find a cure could be somewhere completely different. In the kitchen. Dr. Paul Clayton, a food expert from Middlesex University, says, the brain is affected by what you eat and drink, just like every other part of your body. Certain types of food contain substances that affect how you think and feel. For example, food that is high in carbohydrates can make us feel more relaxed. It also makes us feel happy. Research has shown that people on diets often begin to feel a little depressed after 2 weeks because they are eating fewer carbohydrates. On the other hand, food that is rich in protein makes us feel awake and focused. Research has shown that schoolchildren who eat a high-protein breakfast often do better at school than children whose breakfast is lower in protein. Also, eating the right kind of meal at lunchtime can make a difference if you have an exam in the afternoon or a business meeting where you need to make some quick decisions. In an experiment for a TV show, 2 chess players, both former champions, had different meals before playing each other. Paul had a plate of prosciutto and salad full of protein from the red meat, and his opponent Terry had pasta with a creamy sauce full of carbohydrates. In the chess match, Terry felt sleepy and took much longer than Paul to make decisions about what moves to make. The experiment was repeated several times with the same result. Another powerful mood food could become a replacement for some medications doctors prescribe for stress. In a study, Swiss researchers discovered that eating one dark chocolate candy bar, about 1.4 ounces, had beneficial effects on highly stressed people. Not only did eating the dark chocolate help reduce stress, it was also shown to improve mood and reduce high blood pressure. Why does chocolate make people less stressed? First, it causes the body to reduce the level of the stress hormone, cortisol. Second, it reduces the fight or flight hormone, a hormone that makes people want to start a fight or run away when they are very stressed. In addition, it contains other compounds that lower blood pressure and improve your mood. These 3 things, along with its delicious taste, make chocolate a powerful mood changer. Page 6. Steve Anderson has always had a passion for food. He was first taught to cook by his mother, who is half Burmese. After studying physics in college, he got a summer job helping with a cooking course in Italy, where he met several famous chefs. One of them, Alistair Little, later hired him as a trainee chef. 2 years later, he moved to Valencia in Spain and opened a restaurant, Seu Zire, now one of the most popular restaurants in town. Page 8. Changing for the better. Family life is changing in the US, but not in the way we might think. The results of several different US surveys expected to find that family relationships were suffering because of the decline in traditional family structures. However, some of the results were very surprising. Page 10. The younger brother. Novelist Tim Lott. Rivalry between brothers is normal, but there was a special reason for the tension between us. I was very ill when I was born and spent 3 months in the hospital with my mother. My brother did not see her at all during that time because he went to stay with an aunt. When our mother returned home, it was with a sick newborn baby who took all the attention. No wonder he hated me, although if you ask Jeff, he will say that he didn't. We remember things differently. My brother and I were completely different. We shared the same bedroom, but he was neat, and I was really messy. He was responsible, I was rebellious. He was sensible, I was emotional. I don't have any positive memories of our childhood together, though there must have been good moments. Jeff says we used to play cowboys and Indians, but I only remember him trying to suffocate me under the bedco VCRs. My relationship with Jeff Haas influenced my attitude toward my own 4 daughters. If the girls fight, I always think that the younger child is innocent. But the good news about brothers and sisters is that when they get older, they value each other more. Jeff is now one of my best friends, and I like and admire him greatly. For better or for worse, we share a whole history. It is the longest relationship in my life. The only child. Journalist Sarah Lee. I went to boarding school when I was 7, and the hardest thing I found was making friends. Because I was an only child, I just didn't know how to do it. The thing is that when you're an only child, you spend a lot of your time with adults, and you're often the only child in a gathering of adults. Your parents go on living more or less the way they have always lived, only now you are there, too. I found being an only child interesting because it gave me a view of the world of adults that children in a big family might not get, and I know it has, at least partly, made me the kind of person I am. I never like being one of a group. For example, IFL have to be in a group, I will always try to go. Often do something on my own, or be with just one other person. I'm not comfortable with being one of a gang. My parents are divorced now and my mother lives in the US. And my father in the UK. I feel very responsible for them. I feel responsible for their happiness. I'm the closest relative in the world to each of them, and I am very aware of that. Page 17. From the streets to success. John DeHoria, an American billionaire businessman, owns several companies, including John Paul Mitchell Systems, a successful brand of hair products. However, DeHoria was not always wealthy. He was the second son of immigrant parents and grew up in a very poor area of Los Angeles, California. Before forming his hair product company with only $700, he was a street gang member. For some of his youth, he then worked at low-paying jobs including encyclopedia salesman, janitor, and insurance salesman, and he was homeless twice. DeHoria's self-made rise is an inspiring story. As a child, you were fairly entrepreneurial, weren't you? My first job, at 9 years old, was selling Christmas cards door to door. At 10 years old, my brother and I had paper routes. We got up at 4 o'clock a.m., folded the papers, and delivered them, and then got ready for school. As you got older, you continued to work. Is that right? The job that was one of the most influential experiences you can imagine was door-to-door selling encyclopedias. Doors literally slam in your face, maybe 30, 40 doors before the first customer will actually talk to you and let you in. You've been homeless, haven't you? Twice. Once, when I was about 22 years old. The other time was when I started John Paul Mitchell Systems in 1980. I wasn't getting along with my wife at the time, so I had left and had given her all the money. We had a backer for John Paul Mitchell Systems putting in $500,000. That money was supposed to arrive that day. I never got a penny. So I just slept in my car. And I slept in my car for the first 2 weeks when I started the company. So we started with humble beginnings. Do memories of the streets motivate you? It sure makes you very appreciative of what you have in your life. Those who are homeless like people with kids who are homeless I really have a heart for. So I participate in a lot of charitable organizations that take the homeless off the streets. What are the biggest problems you've faced in business? The biggest problem is rejection. Any business you start, be ready for it. The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is that the successful people do all the things the unsuccessful people don't want to do. When 10 doors are slammed in your face, go to door number 11 with a smile. When did you know you had made it? I was in business 2 years, and we were able to pay every single bill on time. We had a couple of $1,000 in the bank, minus $4,000 to be exact. And we said, man, we made it, it's all downhill now. It was really hard. It took a couple years. What was the first thing you bought yourself at that point? I went to a restaurant. This is the first time I said I'm going to order off the left side of the menu, not the right side. The right side is where the prices are. Carne asada, guacamole, whatever I wanted. I didn't even look at the prices. That, to me, was a pretty big deal. Page 20. TV hosts Amazon. Helen Skelton hopes to become the first woman to kayak down the Amazon River. Helen Skelton is a 26-year-old TV host of Blue Peter, a show for young people. She has never been afraid of a challenge. Last year, she became the second woman to complete the 78-mile ultra-marathon in Namibia, running the 3 consecutive marathons in 23 hours and 50 minutes. But when Blue Peter decided to do something to raise money for the charity Sports Relief, which sponsors projects around the world, Skelton said that she wanted an even bigger challenge. So they suggested that she kayak 1,998 miles down the Amazon from Nauta in Peru to Almiram in Brazil. This is a very risky trip. There are no roads and no towns. Only rainforest and the river, which is sometimes more than 24 miles wide and infested with crocodiles. If she gets sick, it will take around 11 hours to fly her to a hospital. Page 23. When bad luck becomes good luck. You've had a lot of bad luck in the past, a bad accident, and some frightening health problems. Does that keep you from doing things in the future that involve luck, like buying a lottery ticket? Anyone who has bought a ticket for the $500 million US Powerball jackpot can only dream of having as much luck as Australian truck driver Bill Morgan. In case you've never heard of Bill Morgan, his story actually begins with some very bad luck. First, he was almost crushed to death by a truck accident at work. The accident did not kill him, but it did leave Bill with a heart condition. When he was given medication for the heart condition, Bill had an allergic reaction that caused a powerful heart attack, which left him clinically dead for 14 minutes. After being revived by doctors, Morgan slipped into a coma for 12 days. During this time, his family was advised to unplug his life support system. Not once, but twice. Bill's luck began to change when he unexpectedly woke up from the coma without any permanent damage. Bill's bad luck was ending and his heartwarming story was just beginning. After getting better, the 37-year-old Morgan found a new, higher-paying job, and asked his longtime friend, Lisa Wells, to marry him. Lisa said yes. A week later, Morgan bought a scratch-off lottery ticket at his local newsstand. Bill scratched the ticket off and realized he had just won a brand new car. A local TV news station was so amazed by Bill's story that they sent a crew to do a human interest story on Bill and his lucky streak. The news crew thought it would be fun to recreate Bill's buying and scratching off the ticket right on camera. No one could have predicted what happened next. The ticket Bill bought for the reenactment ended up being a $250,000 winner. And the best part is, it all happened on live TV, almost causing another heart attack. Page 24. On Top Gear, a very popular TV series about cars and driving. They decided to organize a race across Florida to find the quickest way to cross a busy state. The idea was to start from Miami, in the southwestern part of the tip of Florida, and to finish the race at the southernmost point of the U.S., Key West. A trip of 160 miles. 3 possible forms of transportation were chosen: a motorboat, a car, and a combination of transportation. One of the show's hosts, Rutledge Wood, took the motorboat and his colleague Adam Ferreira took the car. A 2010 Lotus Evora. Tanner Faust took different kinds of transportation. His trip involved getting a taxi to the airport, where he flew in a seaplane. Then he rented a scooter. They set off from Jones Boat Yard on the Miami River. Page 25. Rutledge and the motorboat. His trip began in the Miami River. For the first hour there was a speed limit of 7 miles an hour because of the enforced no-wake zone in the river. Once the boat passed through Biscayne Bay and went under the Rickenbacker Bridge, he entered open water. Rutledge increased the boat's speed to over 90 miles an hour and made up the time he lost on the Miami River. Approximately 60 miles from the finish line, Rutledge was ahead of Adam and Tanner. But he had to stop for gas if he wanted to reach the finish line in Key West. In the 15 minutes it took to refuel the boat, Adam passed Rutledge in the car and took the lead. Once Rutledge was back on the open water, there were a lot of big waves, but he was able to pass Adam near 7 Mile Bridge just outside of Key West. Unfortunately for both Rutledge and Adam, Tanner flew over both of them in the seaplane at about the same time. Now Tanner was in the best position to win. Each racer was only miles from the finish line in Key West. Who would win? Adam started off okay. He wasn't driving fast because he was going the speed limit. However, after an hour, Adam decided that he was going too slowly. He increased his speed to 75 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour over the speed limit. As Adam passed through a small town, he was stopped by the police. They were angry that Adam was speeding, and it meant that Adam lost many valuable minutes. Another problem Adam had was that his GPS was programmed to give directions in Spanish instead of English. This made finding his way to Key West difficult. As Adam finally approached Key West, the traffic was getting worse. He was worried about getting stuck so close to the finish line. Only 3 miles to go.